out here, and my man Mike is a testimony. Now, I would say this one thing for me specifically. I'm gonna just give a quick story of Mike and I. So Mike and I both worked at Chevron, okay? Me and Mike was talking, similar to you, Grace, and I was like, man, Mike, man, we gotta leave or whatever. We gotta jump ship from Chevron. And Mike said, all right, man, I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna leave. And that was in 2012. And he said, I'm gonna do it, and then you can go after me. So, he said, you see where I'm going. In my back of my mind, I was thinking, listen, let me let Mike ass go out there first. That's a little story. Let Mike go out there first and let me see what happens. But fortunately, a year later, that's when I left. Okay. So that's that partnership, though. Yeah. So that's the serious though, Grace. That's what it was. You just took the leap of faith, and you just gotta take the action. But I highly encourage you network with Mike because he just done it about a year ago, and he probably can school you and advise you as well too.
Yeah, I try to give a quick answer. So one, you had to have a good deal. When you have a good deal, you're going to attract capital. So that's the first component. And two, you got to create competition, right? It's easy to say, okay, I found somebody, I got my deal, got it all locked up, I'm not going to talk to anybody else. Is you need to try to find 2 or 3 people that are coming after your deal. Because when you create competition, you don't have somebody pulling out to leverage you, or if you do, you already have somebody that is there. We literally just had this on a deal we closed recently, was the investor all the way up into closing. Hey, we love the deal. 2 days before closing, I'm kind of getting soft on this. I'm gonna need some more questions. And we were like, all right, we'll just find somebody else. Next day, oh no, we want to do it. No way, don't give it away, right? So that component of having additional options does create a competition and keep people from knowing that they can jerk you around, right? And you have control of that when you have multiple options.
Great answers, you guys. Great answers. I'm getting that one of the things too that he said earlier was values and faith. So in order to make that pivot, it's going to take that. And I love the answer you gave about your partnership, that it started at the value, because it's a marriage. It's a marriage. It's a business marriage. And so it's the same thing with a romantic marriage. You have to have that values that are on the same page in order to build on top of that. Who's next? Who's got another question? Right here, we've got this guy. I saw his hand first, actually, when I first asked. Tell us who you are and what's your question.
Good afternoon, my name is Elijah. My question is, how do you protect 110 million of your assets?
And like you said, Elijah, when you mention protect, in regards to what?
Just how you break down from, you have the building on Carolina, is that under one LLC, or how is it spread out?
Okay, like asset protection is what you're referring to. Okay, yeah, so mind you, the asset protection strategy we use now are way more complicated than when we first started off. So I bring where we're at right now, but I'll talk about like that fourplex. So for asset protection, at the end of the day, with Louisiana, specifically New Orleans, it's like LLCs. However, this way I can put this. You're gonna have to dig hard to find Andre Lewis or Michael Meredith on any of these assets that we own. And the reason for that, just through a complicated series of LLCs and registries and members and stuff like that, we are invisible. Okay, we manage it, but we own nothing. I think that's the terminology people say.
Love it.
But Elijah, for you to think, or for everybody in this room to think, is that's what goes to your network, because we have hired attorneys, that estate attorneys and attorneys that help us with these things where we don't have to figure out all this on our own. Now, for the newbies or the individuals who haven't purchased their first property, I would just encourage you guys, don't let asset protection getting in the way from doing the deal. Because out of everything, you can pay DB right now to fix all that for you with a snap of a finger. You know what I'm saying? Seriously.
DB is David Birdsong.
Oh, sorry about that. David Birdsong. That's what David Birdsong, who done a lot for us over the years, comes into play at. But the short answer is just a complex series of LLCs done right. I want to say that as well too, is what protect us. And on top of the asset protection, we have a lot of different insurances as well too that protects us as well too. So that's like the short answer to your question, Elijah.
Thank you.
You good? My pleasure, brother.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
All right, I'm starting out like you said.
Wait for the
Wait
mic.
for the mic and tell us who you are and what's your question.
Okay, I'm Marvin, by the way. I'm interested in solar homes and that
Stand
nature.
up for us, Marvin, so we
I have a problem with asking for the money, right? Now, I researched and I went down a rabbit hole with doing solar living homes, and it's an excellent business opportunity as far as A-plus neighborhoods I'm planning on buying in the Midwest. Houses are cheaper and neighbors tend to be better. How do I go about getting that financing to get started? Like, do I have to write it out and present it to the person? And if so, how do I do that?
That's a good question.
Cause I'm a blue collar worker, I do air
DC.
conditioning and refrigeration. So I mean, you know, that's out of my league, I'm transitioning. And I have a plan, and I'm gonna work it.
Okay.
For one, I love the passion. I can hear that. But I think, look, in order to grow the business, you're gonna have to learn how to ask for money, or have a partner that learns and knows how to ask for money. And one, you got an internal network of folks. I think that I saw the hands go up like, do I have lenders? And I don't think these lenders just only do Louisiana. I think they do all across the nation. So yeah, so you have some folks in here that you can at least practice on, right? And they can give you some feedback, right, wrong, or indifferent. But I think you also need to come with a plan, something written, right? And there are programs and coaches, a lot of things that we saw in NOREIA, we took from that, we took some other people's presentations, and we always came with something professional, right? And it's okay, the first 20, 25 times is probably gonna be bad. The next 30 to 50 is probably gonna be better. And you hone that into your pitch until it becomes almost a rhythm. And so you gotta be okay with failing, okay with getting feedback, but the only way that you're gonna be able to start getting comfortable asking for money in order to do deals is to start practicing, right? And that may be in the mirror, it may be in here with folks, or even just some local bankers. So I would say, is to invest in yourself with some coaches, start putting some things down on paper, honing it and getting some feedback, but start talking to lenders in here, understanding what they want to hear, right? As opposed to thinking what they know.
Good point. He just said, talk to lenders in here, and what do they want? That is an excellent starting point, because each lender may want something different. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Because we don't do W-2s.
yeah.
You might
So,
do that because you don't have a W-2.
another thing too that you said, and I'm hearing things and I'm reciting them so that, you guys are catching, they're giving some gems. He said, I just lost a thought. He said, you said, the lender and what that lender wants, and that has been my experience dealing with different lenders, especially private lenders. They don't all want the same thing. They don't all want the same property. And then you said something about, I can't remember. All right, next question. Next question. We gotta.
Get the
He
mic.
has the mic. And then after him, we're gonna have the guy up here in the black shirt.
Good evening, my name is Derek, and my question is, so a particular property that you all own, the Banks Apartments, right? In Algiers, when you purchased the property, the neighborhood, the environment, it looked a certain way, but when you all went in there, what made you upscale it to where it was? Because where you took it was beyond, you could have went in soft with it, but you all went into it very heavy, which I saw you had on the market probably about 3-4 months ago. I don't know if you sold it, because I've been following you also to be on a TV show. But my question is,
Full point.
what made you all take that project and go above where y'all could have went in soft and saved some money?
Good question.
Yeah, real good question, Derek. And thank you, man, for the compliment. I would say, I think it goes back to Mike and I's and our organization core values, first and foremost, where for that particular property, that particular sub-market, we had a vision on what we wanted to do for that community and that particular property. And as such, that's what we delivered on. Now, I do want to say on the other end, and this is for the spirit of this session right here, you know, I could say, how do I say this word, naiveness? That's where you put it. For that particular property, Derek, we didn't know what the hell we signed up for. Thank you for understanding.
Yeah, you gotta give it 100.
We delivered on the vision by all means. But what we thought it took to deliver on that vision, it took a lot more to deliver on that vision. So the reason I want to just be transparent with you guys today is because that's just another example where we never bought 100 units a day in our life, but we bought that 100 unit right there.
Wow.
And as such, you asking us about it right now, you seeing the end game, but you didn't see all the things that go into making it where it's at right now. However, if we would have known what we know right now, we would have bought that property. I don't know. However, I know I would have been way scared about a property if I know what I know right now. But that's just part of just take action and moving forward. So, yeah. So that's what the first question is, because it's a lesson in this. One is just our core values and what we believe in. That's what we know. We'll spend the extra dollars to enrich our properties and enrich the communities, but the operator in me saying as well too is a lot of it. We just didn't have that experience to know really what we was up against as well too. There, I kid you not, man. We were supposed to close on that property on the Tuesday. This is 2018. We were supposed to close on that property on a Tuesday. Within a 7-day window before we closed, it was 2 people that got killed at that property. I bet y'all saying, Dre, Mike, what's going on with y'all? Y'all on your track killings? I swear to God, I don't have anything to do with these killings. But there, yeah, that's a real story, man, true story, man. But that, like with that 100 unit, that gave us the confidence to take on some other properties, and you know that's where we at right now.
Y'all leverage those units to get the other property, or did y'all ask for new financing to get another property?
It was new financing.
All right.
Yeah, no, I think that particular property, we had kind of built a little bit of reputation of taking on some troubled assets. And so that became our niche, right? And so some of the naivety, but also like the Glasgow property, we didn't know it, but we was watching a documentary and our property was on the documentary for the Harvey Hustle. So, but you know, by the time we had cleaned it up and people had saw that, and so they started, you know, calling and saying, hey, we know these guys can actually do that. But there is something to the fact of, to Dre's point, you know, I think it was like, you know, 60 days before closing, we had 4 people shot and killed. We bought the property on a Friday. We showed up on Monday. There was, you know, tape from people being. But we, you know, after that, once we cleaned it up, to see it go from that to kids playing on the playground, being able to walk through the breezeway and see families, to be able to have back to school, to have vacation Bible school at the property, like that is where impact happens, right? And so it becomes worth that risk when you can see that impact, and people attach to that too, right? The community, investors, banks, they know that they have somebody that's tested, right? You know, our property's a little less risky now, but we only got that because we were able to go through some of that early fire.
Wow, wow. Impact, y'all heard that word, right? I'm catching words, impact. This young man here had a question.
John, so my question was kind of about Linden. So, like, I'm like brand new, never done a deal yet.
You got one coming.
Not sure if I'm saving enough capital, have enough, anything like that. If I just went to Linda's and said, this is what I got, this is where I want to go, can you tell me what I got to do to get there? Would that be like a good approach? Because like what I'm saying is, say I got some money in the bank, but I don't know if it's enough to even get started with something. So would Linda's do that? Like if I just showed up and said, this is my financials,
All day.
I want to do this.
The right one.
What do I have to make these look like to get to there?
the right one.
What does that mean?
So,
DC.
yeah, DC was our guy, but to Dre's point earlier, is you have the two set of lenders. They're not lying to you. Like, we called a lady on three-way, and she was like, y'all ain't ready, click. So we were on Google. She was the first person. The second person was David, and he talked with us, but when we came to New Orleans, we actually sat down in his office probably for about an hour, and he understood. He started coaching us. He was like, okay, give me a little bit of our income, how much you guys saved, which was very little. And he was like, well, have y'all thought about doing a fourplex? Because we were thinking single families. Our first business plan to lose money. Okay, that just lets you know, that's the real truth. I still had that business plan. We were like, yes, we were ready. When we sat in his office, and he was like, have y'all thought about doing fourplexes? You can do the same mortgage. And so he helped to coach us based on where our situation was, and that was the right lender who's going to take the time, because he knows it's going to pay off. If you do what you're supposed to do, guess who you're coming back to? To him. And who are you going to tell your friends? We didn't spend a lot of relationships to his way and vice versa to us. So I think, it's worth your investment the time to find the right person that's going to pour into you personally.
Thank you. So we gotta find that person.
Well, we got 4 lenders who raised their hands.
Yes,
We're the lenders.
You got one right here, you got one right here, you got it. What's your name again, sir?
John.
John, you got it right here, baby.
All right, good.
So, I have a question. You guys have dealt with a lot of debts. What is the mindset that has gotten you through those properties that sound very challenging? What is it? Is it just, boom, I get knocked out and you just got to get back up and keep going? Or is it something that you guys are engaging in daily or throughout the week that is keeping you going back to we're still building?
I'll let you, that's a good, deep question right there. I'll let you, process.
Yeah, I think, look, if you haven't heard it, me and Dre are men of faith, right? God at the center, Jesus above it all. Like, so in those moments, there have been moments where I can't explain how this happened, right? There have been moments that Dre sit on the couch with me and we like scratching our head and all we can do is pray, right? And so I think that initial attachment and that component has allowed us to have some supernatural things happen in our business that we can't explain on the Excel sheet, on a business plan, on any of that. So that's number one. I think the second part of it is being aligned with folks who are not gonna quit, right? Because that's really the only stopping point, right? Is we could lose everything, but that fortitude to not quit is there. I always tell this story. I don't know if Marcel, does he still come?
Yeah,
Marcel?
he comes. Yeah.
Man.
Marcel, come here.
Yeah, he still comes.
Yeah, Marcel, yeah.
Zorro.
Marcel, you should be here. Where's the camera?
Man, Marcel is one of my favorite people, and at this point, Dre and I were doing deals, but we was like down to the last drop, and we had to wholesale a deal just to be able to survive, or we'd be going back to that W2. And so Marcel, we had like these 2 deals in Central City, and Marcel was like, oh yes, I got the buyer for you. I best believe, buddy, I'm coming. I'm going to see you there, best believe. And so we get there and we show him these properties, and they was some struggle. He was like, oh, I got cash buyer. He coming tomorrow. He closed 2 weeks. And so it was like, all right, cool. So we went and saw the property. He was like, meet us here. And Dre and I drove over, and we sat there in that parking lot for like 20 minutes. And we was like, dang, Marcel did not show up. And we were like, man, this is it. We can't sell the wholesale, the properties, the business going, BPG is not it. And then we just sat in the car quiet for like 10 minutes. And Dre said he thought I was mad at him because he was the one who brought Marcel, but I just didn't do anything. I was just praying at that moment. And about 5 minutes later, that he had his old school 1984 Benz. That Benz came up behind us, and you were like an angel. Like an angel. Music playing in the background, and it just shows like we didn't get mad at each other. We didn't say we was gonna quit. We just knew like, man, this gonna work out. We just gotta stick in it. And he wholesaled them deals. We got like a $10,000 check that held us over to the next month. Another deal closed, and the rest is history. So you know, again, those NOREIA connections, right? You know, the stick-to-itiveness and just the ability to say, hey man, this is bigger than money, we're trying to build something, I think has been a big component of it.
Wonderful answer, because it's just, again, you guys are bringing us through y'all journey. The journey is real. It's, you know, and I'm sure even you guys are doing bigger things now, so I'm sure the challenges are just as big, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think some people were like, I was in the city council meeting and the council people was like tearing me up, right? On TV, and people like texting me like, yo, bro, you straight?
I say that.
And in the moment, I'm like, you know, this is bad, but this ain't as bad as like, you know, walking up on the property and like having to deal with, you know, all this type of stuff. So I think you build it up over time and the deals get bigger, they get more complex, but you like the reps you talked about earlier, the free throws get easier and you can make the clutch shots when it's time to.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Andre?
Well said, Mike. Absolutely faith, spirituality, and mindset. And then to Grace, your point, when you burn that ship, sometimes you ain't got no choice but to keep it.
Yeah, I heard that.
So that's another psychological thing for the individuals that are looking to go from W-2 to full-time. You know, it's a little bit different. You're doing wholesale on the side and you got W-2 income.
That's true.
But it's a completely different thing when you don't have that W-2 and you look for a 1984 Benz and you don't show up.
I can so relate to that because I jumped frog from the W-2 as well. And my sister, you know, we were working at the same job, and to make a long story less long, there were moments she floated me financially because of that jump that I made. So you still, like you said, I'm still breathing, but the beginning, there was some rocky time, Joe. There was some rocky times. Who else has a question?
I've got a question. So Dre, the first time I saw you speak like 3-4 years ago. You're speaking to a meal. The story was from a fourplex to 400 units. Michael, and so you speak maybe 2 years ago. It was from a fourplex to 1,000 units. Obviously, I'm seeing you speak tonight on a fourplex to 1,500 units. So my question is to the visionary. I want Michael to answer this one. 2 years time, when you come back to NOREIA and you do your speech, what's the title?
3,000.
3,000. Okay, awesome. I'm looking forward to it. We'll book you when you step your vision out.
I'm the operator.
Yeah, the operator. What's the operator heads up?
No, I'm pissed off at him. I'm the one doing all the work. Hey, but Steve, on that point though, because I think this is another important distinction. So you look at 1,300, you see Mike say 3,000, and I want to say it's not an overnight thing. However, you can hit that inflection point where it just seems like it's smooth. So for the first 4 years of me and Mike being in business, we had only 31 units. So from 2011 to 2015, 31 units, okay? So now 2015 was an inflection point when we bought that first 26 unit. So from them 31 units, from 2015 to probably 2020, 21, we went from those 31 units to like 500 units or so, okay? So from, I would say maybe 2022 to 2026, from the 500 units, that's where we went up to these 1,500 units. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm not sure how many readers we have out there, but The Good, the Great is one of my favorite books, and they speak on the principle called the flywheel. And what the premise is, a flywheel first starts off slow, and it takes a lot of time and energy to get this flywheel going. But once you get that momentum, it's easier to push forward, and you keep on swinging and swinging, and that flywheel is a case in point of me and Mike's journey. When Mike's saying 3,000, I don't doubt it at all right now, because at this juncture right now, God has blessed us where that flywheel is spinning. So I'm saying that all to say, for the individuals who may have been stagnant at a certain amount of units, a certain amount of wholesale deals, or a certain amount of flips, keep on going, because that momentum is everything.
DB got a question.
Okay, my name is DB.
It is now, it is. It is.
And Dennis knew you were speaking here tonight, but he's out of the country.
Okay.
So he was very distraught that he wasn't going to be able to make it here tonight to hear y'all speak. I'd like to thank y'all for your kind words for me, but I also, for the people in here that are trying to find a property, I would like you to speak on persistence, specifically regarding a certain portfolio in Gretna.
Oh, okay, yeah. You wanna tell?
You know, 'cause you
DB
ain't
dropping
in.
hints.
You would give all the emotional part of it.
You mean
Charles Spinks.
which one you talking about, Gretna portfolio or GNO portfolio?
Stump. Give me the story about Stump.
The one where you brought the flowers to the closing.
Okay, he's talking about GNO portfolio.
Okay.
Yeah, so another Dre driving for dollars, that's where it started. You know, he driving around in the F-150, just proud, right? And so I don't know what made him, this property was like a maintenance man who was on the property, and so he pulled over, talked to the guy, and it's the maintenance man. He's like, hey, we're interested in buying a property, can you put us in touch with the owner? And I don't know why he said yes, but he did. And he gave us the owner's number, this lady named Mary. And so at that point, Dre hands it over to me because I'm the acquisition guy. And so I called Mary, and I'm like, I'm just gonna dial this number. She ain't gonna never pick up. She picks up, and she talks to me for like 20 minutes. She wanted to know my whole life story and all this. I was like, I just want to buy your property. And so, you know, she finally said, I said, well, would you like to meet with me? I just want to, you know, talk to you so you get a chance to know us. She was like, sure, I'll meet you. I'll meet you at the IHOP on Saturday at 11 o'clock. So me and Dre get, you know, he had a Steve Harvey suit on, I had my best suit on. We sitting there IHOP, 11 o'clock, 11:20, 11:50, 12:30. She didn't show up. I'm like, dog. So all right, you know, I called her back. She said, oh, I had something happen, you know, next week, Saturday, 11 o'clock, meet me at La Madelines. I was like, all right, you know, he had two Steve Harvey suits, so he was upset. I came, 11 o'clock, 11:30, don't show up. For the next 6 months, I called this lady every other week, and she would just talk to me, and she was like, I'm not ready to sell, not ready to sell, not ready to sell. So finally, we're at a NOREIA event, and I hear somebody in the background talking. They're like, yeah, I got this property, it's his son and his mother, they're not getting along, and he wants to sell the property, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you wouldn't be having to talk about the Adams portfolio? I was like, yeah. So that was finally the connection. We get the property under contract, and this is a year, right? So we get the financing in place, everything is done. We done raised all this money and put our firstborn child up for collateral. Get to the closing table, it's like 10 people, right? Closing at 4 o'clock. Bankers there, checks ready. Guess who doesn't show up?
Oh, the hug.
Miss Mary don't show up. It's a Friday. So I call her. I'm like, Mary, what's going on? She said, yeah, I don't know if I really want to sell this property. You know, it means a lot to me. I said, Miss Mary, if I need to come to your house right now, I will do it. But she said, no, just give me the weekend, I'll think about it. So, and at this point, I had already bought all the flowers and everything. And so Monday, I called her, and I said, Mary, I need you to show up. It's gonna change me and Dre's life if you're able to do this, and I really need you to honor your commitment. So we set the closing up, 2 o'clock in DB's office. And when that door opened up, you thought it was like baby Jesus. She walked in there, she was all, you know, got the Chanel number 5 on, hair slicked back, and afterwards, you know, we finally got it done. And I said, Mary, I would take you to dinner wherever you want to go. She said, I want to go to Red Lobster. I said, crab legs it is. But to that point, that was a 124 unit deal that took us a minimum 1.5 years with probably 100 no's, right?
Wow.
But that persistence, I think, is what, to that same point, the fortitude of what it takes, because we could have quit, you know, 100 times into that. But yeah, DB has intimate knowledge of that deal, because he almost saw me go in the corner and cry on that Friday for sure.
Yeah.
My name is Angel. I currently have 2 multifamilies that I purchased as like more of a retail buyer. So I'm wondering what's the best way to kind of pivot into more of an investor purchaser.
And when you say retail buy, what are you referring to?
Like I purchased it like a normal, transaction, like not as an investor. Like I didn't get a deal on it.
Oh,
You bought
okay.
it at
Yeah.
market.
Yeah.
You bought it at market.
And what kind of, you say they are multifamilies?
Yeah, so I have one that's like a double, and there's like the detached studio apartment in the back,
Okay.
and then the other one is just a double.
All right, so 5 units total, 2
Right.
buildings. All right, and now I gotta lay the land. So what's your question now?
So what's the best way to kind of prepare to pivot into more of an investor versus a retail buyer?
Okay, so the first thing I want to say, congrats to you because you are an investor.
Yeah.
Already you got a good deal in that. That's on you. Investor terminology, you have 5 units. So y'all give it up for
Yeah.
them. Now I think a better way to question that, a better way to rephrase that question probably be how can I find better deals? Maybe because I do truly think you are already an investor. And the question to that, the answer to that rather is, first and foremost, maybe compared to a lot of people, you got the experience because you actually closed on deals. For you to make the comment that I bought a retail, you know probably where I probably could have done better, yay or nay. So from all that experience, from what you learning here in NOREIA and for you doing your self-education, you are closer than you probably think to purchasing the right property going forward. So I just highly encourage for you to just take these lessons learned from the first 2 acquisitions and just keep pushing forward to acquire those next ones. So that's like a high level answer because there's so many technical things that you probably can go into, but
Right.
I just want to encourage you to just continuously just take steps forward where maybe these first 2 deals weren't the best ones, but they are deals that you closed on, and that's something that a lot of people can't necessarily say. And I love to use the terminology, if you lost money, that's tuition for you. So just really make the best out of that tuition. Me and Mike got a lot of tuition. I probably got a damn PhD from MIT. No scholarship. So that's what I would say for you. And you just continue to push forward. But you are a bona fide investor because you are a landlord and you own deals.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure.
Yes.
I feel good.
We'll come back to you.
So I've been an investor for 25 years, and I was financially independent, I guess, in my early 50s because of the stuff that I learned at this meeting. So some of the answers that I'm trying to say is use the resources in this room and don't be afraid to ask people for help and advice. You asked, how do I do a deal? Next month, they have a meeting on negotiating techniques. That gentleman right there asked about where do I get the money from it. Last month, we had the banker from Gulf Coast who went over all kinds of ways to make a deal work. What you need to learn to do is exactly what they said. Know your numbers. What is it worth for you? That young lady right there bought 2 deals and she says, well, I bought them at retail. If going into that deal, you would have said, I want this property because I want to make $450 a month, positive cash flow after all expenses. That's knowing your numbers. That's where people like David and Betsy can teach you how to look at a deal. It's okay to go to a deal and be wrong and have some advice from somebody to say, you know, I'm not sure I would do this deal because it's only going to give me $125 a month. Is all that work worth $125 a month when insurance is going up and Noxie's raising prices and Cox Cable's raising prices? The deals are out there.
Phil, Phil, I hate to cut you because
I got this guy right here, Natal's. He's got all kind of deals in this thing. I didn't ask about that. I asked about electrical and plumbing services, but he also has properties. That's how you learn. You come to these meetings, you listen, and you talk to people just like they did, and they created connections, We all don't have to do 1,500 deals to be financially independent.
That's true.
If you will look at it, it only takes 3 or 4 properties free and clear for you to be making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. What does a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house go for nowadays?
Phil.
So, anyway,
Phil,
thank you all.
thank you, we appreciate it. Phil has been a member here for years, and I guess he just had to get that off his chest, but very valid point, Phil, very valid. We got a question up here too.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gerald Andrew Bridges. I go by G. Just wanted to first thank the gentleman for coming up. A little quick story. I know I have a question. It was a quick story. My first event was in 2019 here. I had my first time meeting Mike. I had my son in a little carrier, and I remember when I met him, and I got introduced to these gentlemen. And I've been through the ups and downs, and I've been paying my tuition a lot recently. So I guess my question of people who are starting off like you, John, is like, what is your advice for people, who maybe been on the downside, maybe on the side that Grace is thinking now? I've gone and I've jumped out and I've fallen on my face, and now I'm back getting up from on my face. But I was like, I have the experience now, taking the lumps. I've had a lot of good deals, a few bad deals. Like, what's your advice now to kind of propel to that next step? 'Cause I have all the experience now. I've taken the lumps. I have a good baseline. Like, what's your advice now into kind of going into the next step?
You know what, G, I answer it in a couple ways. One, I want to admire you, man, because you got a lot of persistence.
Yep.
So, Jerry, I've known she's going on 7 or 8 years, and it's always good when I see you. But one thing about Jerry, every time I talk to him, he taking action, willing and dealing. So that's one thing I just want to first say that. The second thing is, I'm a man of faith, and I don't know what God has for you in his plan for you, brother. But what I do know is, faith without action is dead, and you are continuously taking action. So it's no technical thing I can tell you, G, to do differently. It's no deal or market I can tell you to do. I would just say you have been at it 7, 8+ years now. You've done deals, you made money, you lost money. Just keep pushing forward. And in the event you in the downside, I know you right now, you have a 9 to 5. It's okay, brother. Because guess what? You in this room right now trying to figure it out, man. So that'll be just some words of encouragement I have for you, Gerald, man. Just keep on going, bro. Seriously, man. Because I see it. I see the passion every time we talk. I seen the different jobs that you had between the times, between you full-time and not, man. But you going to figure this thing out, bro.
And you leverage the story, too. I mean, an investor doesn't want to know about all the good deals. An investor that wants to attach to you, they want to know the deals that you lost money on and what did you learn? Because that shows something, right? Like, you done been through the fire, you done been able to pivot and get back and still here, right? Versus, some people in your seat, they just run away, right? And that's not the type of people that want to create long-term relationships with. So there's value in having failures, right? Because that shows that you're a business, right? Like McDonald's, they don't do record numbers every day. There's some slumps throughout that season, but people still going to invest in their stock, right? Because they know it's a long-term game and you got long-term experience. So I just say keep leveraging that.
One of my favorite quotes is, I have failed over and over and over again, and that is why I succeed. That's Michael Jordan.
We're telling a failure story?
Sure, and I just want to say this first before you tell your failure story, yo. We at 9 o'clock. Can we go a little longer? Cause we getting it up in here tonight. Are you guys okay though? Okay, I would love to go a little longer if we can. Okay, tell us about it.
All right, so Dre talked about this, like the chills that you get when we come in this room is I get the same ones. Like every idea that we've had has not been good. Every thought or strategy that we have has not been good. There's been some really bad ones. So early on, we thought we were going to just change the game with this home buyer market. Like we got to create this new thing. We're going to create all these buyers. And so we went back to our college days. We printed out 1,000 flyers, probably like 2,000 flyers. And we took these flyers and we put them on every car in New Orleans East, mid-city, literally like 4 or 5 days in a row in our car driving around all the apartment complexes. Because we're going to hold this massive event in this room right here. And everybody was going to come and say, we want to buy houses from Mike and Dre. So 4 days straight, flyers on cars. You thought it was some type of Kappa party happening over the city. We had the room set up. We paid for it. The freshmen. We had, his fiance at the time and my ex-wife now was at the table, and so we was expecting a bunch of people. 1 o'clock on a Saturday. How many people do y'all think showed up in this big room all the way to the back?
1, 0, none. Don't say none.
4 people. All these seats.
That's close to none.
Now that would seem to some to be a failure, but at that moment, it was 4 people and 3 speakers, me, Dre, and Chris, and we gave the best home buyer speech that you could ever imagine in your life. We gave them people like they was, at Joe Osteen church. You know what I'm saying? But in that moment, it could have seemed like a failure. A lot of money lost, bad idea, all that type of stuff. But 15 years later, we're sitting in this room talking to y'all, right? And that in that moment, we had that vision. Even though in that moment we failed, and that was like, hey, we're gonna get back up and we're gonna keep on pushing. So this room right here, that's why I made it a point to come tonight, because I just get the chills when I walk in here, because I can imagine. And it was like people sitting in the back too, like 2 people sitting right here and 2 people in the back. So 3 speakers, 3 people. But to that point, you never know what fast forward looks like. Right. And you gotta continue to do the small things. Consistency, faithfulness, multiplied by time, is impact.
Wow.
If you have those things, you're consistent, you're faithful, you do it over a time period, you're gonna have impact. And so that's, to that same point, 1 unit at a time, just keep on chugging and fail and laugh at it. Because after that, we went and had some Hennessy and Coke and laughed at it.
What was your story? What's one for you?
Failure?
Yeah, that like this story sticks in his brain. What sticks out for you that you pushed through?
Alright, so man, you like a counselor, right? I'll say this is one of the biggest loss ever in VPG history. I'm gonna tell that story. Okay. And this touches on a lot of questions that people were asking between partners, having setbacks like G just mentioned, raising money and things like that. So we developed 20 condos on 3700 Bienville. Anybody know where those are at? 3700 block of Bienville?
Yeah.
You know where it's at, Drew? All right. So we actually built those and we sold them. So the reason how we got that deal was the owners of the land owned the hospital next door to those 20 condos. And at the time they was building the hospital, it was like a rehab hospital, and they had called an Uber. The Uber driver that picked them up was a guy that we mentored named John. John was driving, and the guys were just so happy to ask John, hey, do you know anybody in real estate? And John said, yeah, I do. And he gave him my contact information.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So from there, the guys are out of Texas, and they're medical developers. They got hooked up with us. We flew down there to Dallas, and that's when we was willing and dealing with them. Now, some lessons that I want to point here. At that time, it was probably 2016, 2017. And at that time, Mike and I, we haven't really had a lot of exposure to like big time businessmen, wealthy people and stuff like that. So when we got exposed to these guys, we were just so blinded from their quote unquote success where we were like, man, these guys are where we want to be, blah, blah, blah. And it's just an honor for them to want to do deals with us. So probably a lot of red flags we probably looked over for the simple fact we were just glad to be at the table. So
y'all listening?
So you remember them values that I was talking about?
Yeah.
They threw them out the window. So y'all know somewhere it's probably going with this story. So from there, we end up, for several months, partnering up, and we got the financing and that when we decided to do the deal. Now for this particular deal too, we actually were serving as the general contractors as well too. That's a whole nother lesson on its own. But to sum up that story is we bit off way more than we can choose. Way more than we can chew. And the worst thing about that, not only did we bit off way more than we chewed, but we partnered up with the absolute worst partners in partner history. That is a bad combination. So this is probably the toughest year and a half of my life, you know, outside of last year where I lost my sister, where it was just hell. And what I mean by that, the relationship got fractured. We didn't know what we were doing on the construction side. The market was starting to turn down, and it was just bad. So we finally finished the construction, got the property on the market, and the initial idea was to sell them as individual condos. However, that plan sucked. So we ended up finding a guy, our broker, who was a dual broker. One guy decided to buy all 20 condos at once to turn them to Airbnbs. Okay, so that was on like a February. We had what you call a balloon, which the loan was due, which was $6.5 million in August. So this is like a 2 or 3 year endeavor. Got the property on the March, going through inspection, going through the finance, and this guy kept extending, and he extended it where now we in August and we still haven't closed on the deal. So a week before our balloon was due, this guy was we had a dual broker represent both of us, so we told him about our pickle. A week before we were supposed to close, the buyer gave us a call and said, hey, look, XYZ, we only gonna pay X for the property, and that dropped the purchase price down by $500,000. So it's either we walk away from this deal and the bank give us heat, or we take the $500,000 haircut. Which one do you think we did?
$500,000 haircut.
Y'all partially right. When we saying we, it ain't us in the partner. The partner pushed that down to our portion that we took the haircut.
Just you guys.
And our development, our investment and stuff like that. So I'm saying that all to say that there's a lot of lessons. I can write a book on this particular deal. But one, we took a massive haircut on this particular deal. But Grace, guess what? We still alive. Right? Come on now. We are still alive.